Welcome to Monk's Temple. Find a space where you can be still. Perhaps you are resting now, the day's vibrations settling like dust in a sunbeam. Let your eyes soften their focus. Allow your breath to arrive and depart on its own gentle rhythm. There is no goal here tonight, only presence. No puzzle to solve, only a remembering. We are simply turning our attention inward, to a truth as ancient and quiet as the first star appearing at twilight. A truth that whispers. What belongs to you, truly belongs to you, cannot be lost. Not ever. And peace is not a prize at the end of a long struggle. It is the ground of your being, rediscovered each time you unclench your hands. Let us begin not with concepts, but with an image. A high alpine lake, cradled in the arms of snow-dusted peaks. Picture it. The water is not blue, but a profound, mirror-like obsidian, so still it perfectly reflects the sky, the trees, the stone. It is a basin of perfect silence. Now, watch. A single pine needle detaches from a branch far above. It spirals down, a tiny, brown helicopter, and lands on the surface of the lake. Plip. A perfect circle of ripples expands from that point, moving outward in ever-widening rings, distorting the reflected mountain. The ripples travel all the way to the rocky shore, lap gently, and then, they fade. The water settles. The mirror is restored. The pine needle floats, a tiny visitor, and the lake holds it without comment. This lake is your deepest awareness. Your mind, your thoughts, your sensory experiences, these are the pine needles, the falling leaves, the occasional skipped stone of passing birds. They land. They create ripples of thought, emotion, sensation. The ripples are real. They feel real. But they are not the lake. The lake is the silent, vast, receptive space that holds all movement without being defined by it. It allows the disturbance and knows its own nature as undisturbed stillness. Our suffering begins when we forget we are the lake and believe we are the ripples. We think, I am this anxiety, when anxiety is merely a set of ripples passing through. We think, I am this heartbreak, when heartbreak is a storm of waves on a surface that, in its depths, remains calm and clear. This is the core of it all, you are not the content of your experience. You are the conscious space in which all experience unfolds. Knowing this is the beginning of freedom. Let me tell you about Elias. Elias was a master clockmaker in a small Swiss village. His life was one of exquisite precision. His workshop was a sanctuary of ticking and talking, of tiny gears interlocking with flawless certainty. He repaired antique timepieces, their mechanisms a language he understood in his fingertips. His identity was wound as tight as a mainspring, he was the man who fixed broken time. He believed in restoration, in making the past run again. Then, a progressive nerve condition began to steal the fine motor control from his hands. His fingers, once surgeons of tiny parts, became clumsy and uncertain. He could no longer perform the delicate work that defined him. The diagnosis was a stone dropped into his lake, and the ripples were tsunamis of panic, grief, and identity-shattering fear. If I am not the clockmaker, who am I? He fought it. He tried special tools, magnifiers, exercises. He gripped tighter, and his frustration grew. The workshop, once a place of joy, became a torture chamber of his own incapacity. One afternoon, in a fury of impotence, he swept a half-repaired 18th-century carriage clock from his bench. It shattered on the stone floor. The silence that followed was louder than any tick. He slunk to the floor amidst the gears and splinters, defeated. As he sat there, his angry breath slowing, his gaze fell upon the debris. A single, perfect brass gear, no larger than a pea, had rolled to a stop against his shoe. Sunlight from the window caught it, and it glowed like a tiny, miniature sun. In that moment, he didn't see a component of a broken machine. He saw an object of singular, quiet beauty. A perfect spiral. A captured sunbeam. He picked it up, feeling its cool, smooth weight. He wasn't thinking of its function. He was simply seeing it. That was the first ripple fading. He began to see differently. Without the purpose of repair, he started to appreciate the clocks as sculptures, as artifacts of human longing to capture the uncapturable. He began to sketch them. His shaky lines gave them a ghostly, beautiful quality. He started writing about their histories, the lives they had measured. He became a chronicler, not a restorer. The village, missing his repairs, found a new value in his stories. A local cafe displayed his sketches and tales next to their pastries. He didn't fix time anymore. He honored its passage. His identity had been a precise, ticking clock. Letting go of that allowed him to become the spacious, quiet room in which the story of time could be told. The lake of his being had been churned by the storm of loss, but as he stopped fighting the waves, the stillness beneath returned. He discovered he was not the clockmaker. He was the awareness that had always appreciated beauty, in precision and in ruin alike. If this story resonates with you, if you feel a gentle loosening in your chest, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It is a simple way to return to this quiet space whenever the world feels too loud, too fast, too demanding. Your presence here is a gift we hold in stillness. The lesson of the lake and the clockmaker touches the Buddhist principle of anatta, often translated as non-self. This does not mean you don't exist. It means you are not a solid, fixed, separate thing. You are a process. A flowing event. A lake receiving inputs, sensations, thoughts, cultural conditioning, and reflecting them back. We take this flowing reflection to be a permanent me. We say, I am a generous person, and cling to that, feeling threatened when a selfish thought arises. But the selfish thought is just another pine needle. The lake that holds both generosity and selfishness remains unchanged. You are that lake. This is why attachment causes suffering. We attach to a particular reflection on the lake's surface, a happy mood, a successful role, a loving relationship, and demand it stay frozen there forever. But the surface must move. The wind of change must stir it. The pine needles of experience must fall. Clinging to a reflection is like Elias clinging to the identity of clockmaker. When the conditions that created that reflection change, we feel we are being destroyed. But only the reflection is shifting. The lake is fine. Consider a tradition from the Canadian Arctic, from Inuit communities. When building a traditional igloo, the final act is to cut a small window of clear, freshwater ice and set it into the snow wall. This window is not for looking out at the blinding white landscape. It is for looking in, for softening and diffusing the light within the shelter. The sun, low on the horizon, shines through this ice window and casts a gentle, ever-changing luminescence across the curved interior. The light moves as the sun moves. Patterns of brightness glide across the sleeping platform, the cooking stone. The ice window itself might have bubbles, flaws, inclusions, each one bending the light in unique ways. The people inside do not try to control the light show. They do not chip at the ice to make it perfect. They appreciate the beauty of the impermanent, flawed, moving display. They understand that the beauty is in the interaction of light and medium, not in a static picture. Their home is animated by change. Your mind is that igloo. Your beliefs, memories, and self-concepts are the walls. Your awareness is the light. Your experiences, the thoughts and feelings, are the ever-changing play of light through the imperfect, beautiful ice of your particular conditioning. Suffering is trying to nail the light in one place, to demand it shine only in one golden, static spot. Wisdom is sitting back and appreciating the entire, shifting dance, knowing the light itself. Your awareness is constant, even as its manifestations are ceaselessly new. This is a radical form of trust. It is trusting the lake to know its own depth. It is trusting the light to know how to shine. I remember a man from the Australian outback, a rancher named Jack. His life was defined by control over a vast, unforgiving land. He controlled water via bore pumps, herds via fences, finances via spreadsheets. He believed his safety and success were the direct results of his grip on things. Then, a once-in-a-century drought settled in and didn't leave. For years. His dams evaporated to cracked clay. His herds dwindled. His spreadsheets bled red. The tighter he gripped, investing in deeper bores, selling assets to buy feed, the more everything slipped away. He was a man trying to hold water in his bare hands. Exhausted, bankrupt in spirit, he finally gave up. Not by quitting, but by ceasing to fight the reality of the drought. He sold most of his remaining stock. He stopped maintaining the fences that now enclosed dust. He would sit on his veranda in the evenings, watching the immense, red sun sink into the flat, endless plain. He began to notice things he'd been too busy controlling to see. The intricate architecture of a spiderweb strung between dead shrubs. The specific, haunting call of a curlew at dusk. The way the stars here, freed from city light, were a breathtaking, dizzying blanket. One morning, he noticed a small, green shoot at the base of a long-dead eucalyptus. A trickle of moisture from a forgotten pipe had sustained it. He didn't plan to save it, he just started caring for it. He protected it from the sun with a bit of cloth. That single, tenacious plant became his meditation. He wasn't ranching anymore. He was witnessing a single, stubborn act of life. In that release, that surrender from controller to witness, a strange peace arrived. It was the peace of the land itself, harsh, vast, and indifferent, yet profoundly beautiful. He had stopped identifying as the master of the land and started participating as a humble part of it. Years later, when the rains finally returned, he rebuilt differently. Smaller, more in tune, less about control, more about partnership. He had learned to be the lake, not the frantic hand trying to calm its surface. The practice, then, is to notice when you are gripping the reflection and to gently, without judgment, return your identity to the lake. It is a subtle, inner movement. Feel into your body right now. Is there a place of tightness? Your jaw. Your shoulders. Your belly. That physical tension is often where you are holding on to a thought, a worry, an identity. It is you, mentally clinging to a pine needle on the surface. As you breathe out, imagine that part of your body softening, expanding, becoming as porous and receptive as water. You are not solving the problem that caused the tension. You are simply dissolving the physical manifestation of the grip. You are returning, in this small way, to your lake nature. This is not passivity. The lake is not passive. It is powerfully receptive. It receives the mountain, the sky, the storm, and reflects them all with impeccable clarity. It does not resist. In not resisting, it contains everything. Your power lies in that same receptivity. In not resisting what is, you gain the clarity to respond wisely, rather than react desperately from a place of fear and attachment. We will explore this receptivity, and the beautiful, unexpected paths it reveals, in the next part. For now, simply rest as the lake. Let the ripples of today's thoughts come and go. You are the silence that holds them all. Let's settle in again. Feeling the weight of your body where it rests. Noticing the gentle tide of your breath. In our last moments together, we rested as the silent lake, observing the ripples of thought and sensation without becoming them. From that place of still awareness, let's explore another facet of this truth. Let's talk about essence, and the form it takes. In a quiet studio in the hills of rural Vermont, there is a sculptor who works primarily with found stone. She doesn't go to a quarry with specific plans. She walks riverbeds and abandoned fields, waiting for a stone to call to her. She'll bring a rough, moss-covered, entirely ordinary-looking rock back to her studio and place it on a stand. For days, sometimes weeks, she doesn't touch it with a tool. She sits with it. She drinks her morning coffee looking at it. She watches how the light changes across its surface from dawn to dusk. She is listening. She is asking the stone, "What are you?" What is already here, waiting to be revealed? Her work, she says, is not about creating something new from raw material. It's about uncovering what is already present within the block. With a gentle chisel, she flakes away only what hides the essential form. A curve emerges that suggests a resting figure. A striation in the rock becomes the line of a wing. She follows these hints, these whispers from the stone itself. The final sculpture feels inevitable, as if it had always been sleeping within that rough, anonymous rock. She calls her pieces, revelations, not creations. This is a powerful metaphor for your own life and for the principle of non-attachment. We often approach life as if we are raw, shapeless clay, and we must use our willpower, our plans, our sheer force of effort to sculpt ourselves into a specific, impressive form, the successful entrepreneur, the perfect parent, the enlightened being. We become attached to this blueprint, this ideal image. We grip the chisel of our ambition and we hack away at ourselves, trying to force the messy, complex, beautiful material of our being into a predetermined shape. This is exhausting, and it often feels like a violent act of self-betrayal. But what if, like the sculptor, you saw yourself not as blank clay, but as the uncarved block? What if your life's purpose is not to impose a form from the outside, but to patiently, lovingly remove what is not you, the fears, the conditioned beliefs, the shoulds absorbed from others, the attachments to old identities, to reveal the essential, timeless shape that has always been there. Your true nature is not something you need to achieve. It is something you remember. It is the silent lake beneath the ripples. It is the unique, essential form within the stone. Letting go, then, is the act of putting down the chisel of forceful will. It is the patient sitting and listening. It is the gentle removal of the obscuring layers, not the frantic building of new ones. We suffer because we are attached to the blueprints in our head, the pictures of how life should look, and we wage war against the stubborn, beautiful stone of reality that refuses to conform. I want to tell you about Fatima, who owned a generations-old fabric shop in the Medina of Fez, Morocco. The shop was a kaleidoscope of color, bolts of silk, shelves of thread in every hue, ribbons, and braids. Her grandmother had taught her that their role was to be custodians of beauty, to provide the materials for others' creations. But Fatima, ambitious and modern, saw only a cramped, old-fashioned business. She became attached to a new blueprint. A sleek, minimalist online brand selling artisanal textile kits. She cleared out the vibrant chaos, painted the walls white, installed harsh LED lights. She curated only a handful of on-brand colors. She spent her days on a computer, packaging sterile kits, instead of with her hands in the fabrics. The business made money, but a deep sadness settled in her. The shop felt like a hospital, not a home. The joy was gone. One afternoon, an elderly woman from the neighborhood came in, looking confused. "Where is the life?" she asked in Arabic, gesturing to the white walls. "Where are the colors that told stories?" The woman left, and Fatima sat alone in the sterile silence. She had been so attached to the blueprint of modern success that she had carved away the essential soul of her inheritance, the joyful, messy, abundant celebration of texture and color that was her true gift. Slowly, she began the process of uncarving. She turned off the LEDs and reopened the shutters to the soft, dusty sunlight. She brought back the overflowing baskets of thread. She allowed the vibrant chaos to return. She stopped selling kits online and instead began offering small, in-person lessons on traditional embroidery. The shop became a living space again, buzzing with conversation and creativity. She wasn't a sleek online entrepreneur. She was the heart of a small, vibrant community of makers. She had to let go of the attached form to rediscover the essential function, not selling product, but nurturing creative spirit. The true shape was always there, waiting beneath the white paint. This is the paradox. We think letting go means losing something. But often, it means losing the false idea of what something should be, so we can finally encounter what it is. We let go of the blueprint to meet the uncarved block. Consider the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi. It finds beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. A cracked tea bowl, repaired with gold, kintsugi, is more prized than a perfect one because it honors its history. A moss-covered, asymmetrical garden rock is more valued than a geometrically cut one. Wabi-sabi is an aesthetic of non-attachment to perfection. It embraces the unique story told by flaws, the beauty of natural decay, the serenity of things as they are, not as we demand them to be. It is the artistic expression of loving the uncarved block in all its rough, imperfect truth. Your life is a practice in wabi-sabi. The lines on your face are not flaws to be erased, they are the gold-filled cracks of your experience, the map of a life lived. The career path that took unexpected turns isn't a failed straight line. It's a more interesting, scenic route. The relationship that ended wasn't a mistake, it was a season that completed itself. Attachment screams for the sterile, perfect, unchanging form. Wisdom whispers appreciation for the unique, evolving, imperfect story. This requires a fundamental trust, a trust that is cultivated not in the mind, but in the body, in moments of quiet. It's the trust of the sculptor that the stone knows what it wants to become. It's the trust of the lake that it can reflect anything without losing itself. Let me share a story about trust from an unexpected place, the world of deep-sea diving. There is a type of diving, done in underwater caves and caverns, where the diver uses a continuous guideline, a literal thread, that runs from the open water back to the entrance. In the absolute blackness, with visibility reduced to the beam of a headlamp, this line is your only connection to safety, to air, to the world above. Novice divers, in moments of disorientation or panic, will clutch the line in a death grip. Their muscles lock. Their breathing becomes ragged. They are attached, literally and terrifyingly, to that thin thread. But this tight grip is dangerous. It fatigues them, wastes precious air, and can even cause them to become tangled. The experienced divers learn a different way. They don't grip the line. They pal it. Their fingers are relaxed, just barely in contact with the cord, feeling its presence, its direction. They allow it to guide them, but they do not depend on it for their structural stability. Their stability comes from within, from their trained breath, their calm mind, their trust in their skills and in the process. The line is a reference, not a crutch. If it were to snap, they have the inner resources to problem solve, to follow their training back to light. Their safety is not in their attachment to the line, but in their ability to navigate the darkness with an open, receptive awareness. What is the guideline in your life? Is it your job title? Your relationship status? Your savings account? Your role as a caregiver? We clutch these lines in a death grip, believing they are the only thing holding us from the abyss. But true safety, true stability, comes from within, from the calm awareness of the lake, from the essential shape of the uncarved block. The practice is to shift from gripping the line to palming it. To hold your circumstances lightly, as a reference, not as your identity. To know that your breath, your awareness, your inner compass are your true guides. You can appreciate the line, be grateful for it, but your freedom depends on not being fused to it. A friend of mine, a botanist named Leo, studied the quiver tree in the deserts of Namibia. This tree, an aloe, survives in extreme aridity. In times of severe drought, it does something extraordinary, it self-amputates. It will seal off and drop entire, living branches. It reduces its own surface area, its own needs, to conserve the vital moisture and energy for its core trunk and root system. It lets go of parts of itself to save its essential self. It is not a failure. It is a brilliant, adaptive strategy for survival. When the rains eventually return, it often grows back even stronger from the remaining core. We are not so different. There are seasons in life that feel like spiritual drought. We are stretched too thin. Our resources, emotional, mental, physical, are depleted. The instinct is to grip everything tighter, to try to hold on to every branch, every commitment, every identity. But wisdom might look like the quiver tree. It might look like the conscious, compassionate letting go of a branch, a job, a habit, a toxic relationship, an outdated belief, that, while still a living part of our story, is draining the life from our core. This isn't failure. It is a profound act of self-preservation and love for your essential being. It is making space for the rain, when it comes, to nourish what truly matters. How do we practice this? We start by identifying what we are gripping. We sit quietly, like the sculptor with her stone, and we listen. Where is the tension in the body? That's often where the grip is held. What thought loops play on repeat? That's the mind clinging to a storyline. We don't judge it. We simply acknowledge, here I am, gripping the guideline. And then, on a long, slow exhale, we imagine our fingers softening. We move from a fist to an open palm. We practice palming our life, not clutching it. This practice of release creates a space. And nature, awareness, life itself, it abhors a vacuum. It fills spaces. When you let go of the frantic effort to sculpt yourself into a predetermined form, the essential shape within begins to guide you. When you stop clutching the guideline in terror, you become able to feel its subtle direction. When you release a branch that is no longer serving your core life, energy returns to your roots. In the next part, we'll explore what begins to flow into those open spaces. We'll look at the intelligence of surrender and the unexpected directions it leads. For now, simply be with your own uncarved block. Without a plan, without a chisel. Just sit with the mystery of what you are, beneath all the doing and striving. Listen. What is already here, waiting to be revealed? Let the sounds around you become part of the background, like distant traffic heard from a deep forest. Let your attention drift inward, to the subtle sensation of air moving in and out of your lungs. No need to change it. Just witness it. In our last time together, we explored the uncarved block, the essential self that exists before we sculpt it with force. Now, from that place of patient being, let's consider movement. Not forced movement, but flow. The kind of movement that knows its own way. Picture a slow, deep river in the Louisiana bayou. The water is the color of dark tea, stained by tannins from centuries of cypress roots. It moves not with the frantic rush of a mountain stream, but with a profound, deliberate patience. It has all the time in the world. This river does not fight the land. When it encounters a great, half-submerged log, it doesn't stop or rage. It simply divides. Part of the flow goes left of the log, part goes right. It might create a little eddy, a calm spinning pool behind the obstacle, where nutrients gather and tiny fish dart. The river incorporates the log into its ecosystem. It uses the obstacle to create new habitats. Over decades, the log will soften, become part of the riverbed, and the flow will adjust again. The river's intelligence is not in overcoming, but in adapting. Its power is in its relentless, gentle persistence. It knows that the shortest distance between 2 points is not always a straight line, but the line of least resistance that still leads, inevitably, to the sea. We often face our obstacles like engineers facing a rock in a pipe. We want to blast through it, to force our way. We attach to the specific, straight path we have mapped in our minds. This is the energy of gripping, of forcing. It exhausts us. The river teaches another way, the energy of flowing. It doesn't attach to a specific route. It attaches to its direction, toward the ocean, and trusts that the intelligence of water and gravity will find a way through, around, or over anything in its path. Its goal is not to defeat the log, but to continue its journey, allowing the log to shape the journey in interesting ways. Let me tell you about Aisha, a community organizer in Detroit. Her great passion was a project to turn a vast, vacant city lot into a community garden and gathering space. She had the blueprint, the permits, the fundraising plan. She was a force of nature, pushing relentlessly. Then, obstacle after obstacle arose. Soil contamination tests delayed everything. A key donor pulled out. Bureaucratic red tape seemed endless. Her initial, straight-line plan was completely blocked. Her instinct was to push harder, to work longer hours, to fight the city council. She became stressed, brittle, and started burning out her volunteers with her intensity. She was trying to blast through the log. One evening, defeated, she just went and sat in the middle of the empty lot. Weeds were head-high. As she sat there, she noticed something. In one corner, despite the contamination, a cluster of sunflowers had self-seeded and were growing wild, glorious and tall. Neighborhood kids had worn a faint dirt path through the weeds to use the lot as a shortcut. An older man from the adjacent house was quietly picking dandelion greens from the edge. The life was already there. It wasn't the organized, grant-funded life of her blueprint. It was a messy, resilient, organic life. She let go of her specific plan. Not the vision of community space, but the rigid form it had to take. She started with what was already working. She organized a weekly weed and feed where volunteers would clear a small section and then share a potluck meal. Kids helped build a simple bench from pallets near the sunflower patch. The old man taught others about edible weeds. It was slow, incremental, adaptive. They worked with the contamination by building raised beds from scavenged materials. The obstacle of bad soil became the reason for beautiful, creative container gardens. The lack of big money fostered deep neighborly collaboration. The garden that emerged was nothing like her original architectural renderings. It was better. It was truly of the community, shaped by the very obstacles she had fought. She learned to flow like the Bayou River, dividing around problems, incorporating them into the ecosystem, letting the community's own current find its way. This is the intelligence of surrender. It is not giving up on your direction. It is giving up your rigid attachment to the specific path. It is shifting from being an engineer to being a navigator of a living river. There is a concept in Taoism called Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action. It is the practice of aligning yourself so completely with the natural flow of events that your action becomes as frictionless as water finding its way downhill. It is the action of the river around the log. It is doing what is needed without strain, without the internal drama of forcing. The master carpenter does not fight the grain of the wood, she follows it, and her work appears effortless. The singer does not force the note from her throat. She lets it rise from her diaphragm on a column of breath. Wu Wei is action that arises from a state of deep harmony with what is, not from a state of war against what isn't. Our suffering so often comes from forced, effortful action born of attachment to an outcome, and our exhaustion is the proof. Consider the Arctic tern. This small bird makes the longest migration of any animal on Earth, flying from its Arctic breeding grounds to the Antarctic and back again every year. A round trip of nearly 50,000 miles. It does not do this by brute force, by flapping with relentless, gritted teeth determination along a predetermined GPS coordinate. It uses the flow. It rides prevailing wind currents, thermal updrafts, and even the Earth's magnetic field. It conserves energy by gliding, by letting the air itself carry it for vast distances. It is in a constant, graceful dance with the forces of the planet. Its incredible journey is a masterpiece of wu-wei, of aligning with larger currents to achieve what would be impossible through force alone. Your life has currents. There are currents of synchronicity, of opportunity, of collective energy. There is the current of your deepest values, your innate talents, your quiet joys. Forcing is when you try to swim directly north in a strong eastward current, exhausting yourself to make barely any headway. Flowing is when you feel the direction of the current, adjust your stroke, and allow it to carry you toward your goal, perhaps by a more circuitous but far more sustainable route. You haven't given up your destination. You've become wise about the journey. This requires a profound trust in something larger than your individual will. It is the trust that there is an intelligence in life itself, a current you can learn to sense and join. I knew a man named Ben, a former military pilot who later became a sailing instructor in the Caribbean. He taught me the most important lesson about trust on the water. We were in a small sloop, and the wind died completely. We were adrift. I, the novice, started to panic. I suggested furiously rowing, or starting the small outboard motor. Ben just sat back, looked at the sky, and felt the air on his wet finger. "Wait," he said. "The wind isn't gone. It's changing. Feel that?" I felt nothing. "Just wait," he repeated. He adjusted the sails to loose, ready position. For 20 minutes, we floated in utter silence and stillness. Then, a faint breath touched my cheek. Then another. Within 5 minutes, a steady, new breeze filled in from a different quarter. Ben trimmed the sails with a few gentle tugs on the sheets, and we were moving again, silently, powerfully. He said, "You can't force the wind. You can only prepare the sail and pay attention. Fighting the calm is as useless as fighting the storm. You just have to trust that the wind will return, and be ready when it does." How often do we fight the calm in our lives? A period of stillness, of not knowing, of waiting, we interpret it as failure, as being adrift. So we panic. We row furiously in no particular direction. We start our noisy, polluting mental engines of anxiety and frantic planning. We exhaust ourselves trying to create wind. But what if the calm is simply the wind changing direction? What if the intelligence of life is asking you to wait, to adjust your sails, to pay exquisite attention to the faintest new breath on your cheek? Trusting the current means trusting the pauses as much as the flows. This brings us to a practice, following the yes. This isn't about impulsive hedonism. It's about paying attention to the subtle sense of inner alignment, of ease, of life force. It's the opposite of forcing yourself through actions that feel like a hard no in your body, tasks that drain you, interactions that deplete you, paths that feel like constant resistance. Following the yes means noticing what brings a sense of flow, of gentle energy, of curiosity. It might be small, taking a walk instead of scrolling when tired, calling an old friend, starting a page in a journal, putting your hands in soil. You are not following a grand passion necessarily. You are following the tiny, whispering currents of aliveness. Like the river finding the path of least resistance, you are finding the path of most aliveness. This path, followed consistently, has a mysterious way of leading you toward what is truly meant for you, because it is the path your essential, uncarved block naturally wants to take. In the next part, we'll look at what happens when we truly internalize this. When we stop seeing change as a threat and start experiencing it as the very nature of our aliveness. For now, simply feel into your own life. Where are you forcing the current? Where are you fighting the calm? Can you, just for a moment, put down the oars, stop the engine, and simply feel? Feel for the faintest new breeze. Trust that it is coming. Your only task is to prepare your sails and pay attention. Welcome back. Let's settle even deeper now. Feel the support beneath you. The chair, the floor, the earth. Let yourself be held. In our last moments, we explored flowing with the current, trusting the intelligence of life's movements. Now, from that place of trust, let's look directly at what we are often taught to fear most deeply, change itself. Not as a philosophical idea, but as the very fabric of your aliveness. Close your eyes for a moment and bring your attention to your hands. Feel the pulse in your fingertips. The warmth or coolness. The tiny, imperceptible tremors that are always there. In this moment, as you feel them, cells are dying and being born. Electrical impulses are firing along neural pathways, some strengthening with your attention, others fading from disuse. The air you just breathed in is now becoming part of your blood. The you that began this sentence is not quite the you reading its end. This isn't poetry. This is biology. This is physics. You are not a noun. You are a verb. A process of astonishing, continuous transformation. The word for this in the ancient teachings is anicca, impermanence. But that translation can feel cold, distant. Let's call it what it is, aliveness in motion. We have a fundamental misunderstanding. We believe that to be safe, to be happy, things must stay the same. We believe our happiness is built on a foundation of stability, which we confuse with stasis. So when change comes, a loss, an ending, a new wrinkle, a shift in a relationship, we interpret it as an attack on our happiness, on our very self. We see it as life breaking its promise. But life never promised stasis. Life's only promise is change. The promise is written in your breathing, in your heartbeat, in the turning of the seasons outside your window. Your suffering doesn't come from change. It comes from your argument with change. It comes from the part of you that believes, against all evidence, that you can and should freeze this moment, this feeling, this version of your life. Let me tell you about Sophia. Sophia was an archivist in a grand old library in Lisbon. Her world was one of preserving the past. She loved the smell of old paper, the feel of leather bindings, the perfect, silent order of the stacks. Her greatest pleasure was restoring a damaged manuscript, making it look as it did centuries ago. She believed in preservation, in holding time still. Her personal life mirrored this. She lived in the apartment she grew up in, filled with her parents' furniture. She had the same friends since childhood, the same routines. Change was the enemy of beauty, in her mind. Then, a flood in the library's lower archives. Not a catastrophic one, but enough. She was tasked with the salvage operation. One of the items was a box of early 20th century personal letters, water-damaged. As she carefully tried to separate the pages, she noticed something. The ink from one letter had bled through to the page behind it. But it hadn't created a meaningless smear. The bleed-through had created a new, accidental pattern, the elegant script of one page overlaying the different script of another, creating a haunting, beautiful palimpsest, a third document that never existed before. It was ruined for its original purpose. But it was stunningly beautiful as a new artifact of time and accident. As she stared at this ruined document, something shifted in her. She saw that her life had been an attempt to prevent any bleed-through, any mixing, any change. She was trying to keep every page separate, pristine, and static. But life is a flood. It mixes things. It bleeds through. The beautiful, unique pattern of her life was being created not by perfect preservation, but by the inevitable, messy, transformative interactions of time, loss, and unexpected connections. She began to let go. Not of her love for history, but of her fear of the present. She moved to a smaller, sunnier apartment, letting go of furniture that held only weight, not joy. She joined a hiking group, making new friends with different perspectives. She even started a small project documenting not the grand manuscripts, but the accidental archives, the bleed-throughs, the marginalia, the coffee stains in old books that told their own human story. She didn't abandon the past, she stopped trying to live in it. She allowed herself to become a living palimpsest, where new experiences wrote over the old, not erasing them, but creating a richer, more complex, and uniquely beautiful text. This is the shift. From seeing change as decay to seeing it as unfolding. A seed doesn't decay into a tree, it unfolds its treeness. A caterpillar doesn't die to become a butterfly, it unfolds its butterflyness. Your aging body is not decaying from a youthful ideal, it is unfolding the full arc of a human life, with beauties and wisdom specific to each chapter. The relationship that ends is not a failed permanent state. It was a complete story that unfolded, and its ending makes space for the next story to begin. Consider the practice of forest gardening, used by indigenous communities in the Amazon for millennia. Unlike monocrop agriculture, which fights change, weeds, pests, depletion, with force, herbicides, pesticides, fertilizer, a forest garden embraces change as part of its design. It cultivates a layered, diverse ecosystem, tall canopy trees, smaller understory trees, shrubs, vines, ground cover. Plants are chosen not just for fruit, but for their functions. Some fix nitrogen in the soil, others attract beneficial insects, others provide mulch. When a tree falls, it's not a disaster, it's an opportunity for new light to reach the forest floor, stimulating a burst of new growth. The garden is not a static picture, but a resilient, self-renewing, ever-evolving process. The gardener isn't a controller, but a participant who nudges the system toward greater abundance by understanding and working with natural succession and change. Your life can be a forest garden, not a monocrop field. When you try to force a single, permanent crop, one career, one version of a relationship, one idea of success, you are in a constant, exhausting war with the natural forces of change, boredom, growth, shifting values. But if you cultivate a diverse, layered inner ecosystem, multiple sources of joy, a variety of skills and interests, different kinds of relationships, a deep root system of spiritual practice. Then when one tree falls, a job ends, a friendship shifts, the entire system doesn't collapse. The change creates light for something new to grow. You are resilient because you are designed for change, not against it. This understanding leads to a profound emotional shift, equanimity. Equanimity is not numbness. It is not indifference. It is the spacious, balanced heart that can hold joy and sorrow, gain and loss, praise and blame, with equal compassion and without being overthrown by any of them. It is the deep knowing that all of these are weather patterns in the sky of your awareness. They are all part of the unfolding. I recall a story from a hospice nurse named Eleanor. She spent her days at the very frontier of change, the transition from life to death. She said the most peaceful passings were not those where the person had lived a life free of pain, but those where the person had made some kind of peace with the reality of their story, with its twists and turns, its triumphs and regrets. She told me of one man, a formerly gruff and stubborn farmer, in his final days. He could no longer speak, but she would sit with him. One afternoon, as golden autumn light filled the room, he motioned weakly for a notepad. With a trembling hand, he wrote just 2 words, "The seasons." He looked out the window at the falling leaves, then closed his eyes, a faint, peaceful smile on his lips. He wasn't fighting the winter approaching. He was recognizing it as part of the cycle he had witnessed from a tractor seat his whole life. His final wisdom was the acceptance of the season he was in. He had stopped arguing with the unfolding. How do we cultivate this equanimity, this friendship with change? We practice welcoming. It's a small, powerful internal gesture. When a difficult emotion arises, anxiety, sadness, irritation, instead of the instinctive reactions of "go away" or "I am this," we practice saying, inwardly, "Ah, you're here. Welcome." We make space for the feeling to be there. We feel its physical sensations without buying the catastrophic story the mind wants to tell about it. We welcome it like we would welcome a sudden rain shower on a hike, inconvenient, perhaps, but natural. We put on the metaphorical jacket of our awareness and keep walking. The rain will stop. The feeling will pass. By welcoming it, we don't empower it, we disarm it. We remove the secondary suffering, the suffering about the suffering, which is where most of our pain resides. This practice roots us in the present moment, the only place where life is actually happening. The past is a memory, a story. The future is a fantasy, a projection. Both are mental images that cause suffering when we cling to them or fear them. The present moment is the only reality, and it is always, always changing. When you rest your attention in the feeling of your breath, right now, in the sound you hear, right now, in the sensation of your body, right now, you are aligning yourself with the fundamental truth of change. You are practicing being the awareness that watches the unfolding, not the character in the drama who is desperately trying to rewrite the script. In the next part, we'll explore the beautiful and challenging territory of relationships, how we love, connect, and release within this ever-flowing river of change. For now, simply be with the truth of this moment. Feel the aliveness in motion that is you. Your breath changes. Your thoughts change. The light changes. You are not falling apart. You are unfolding. And that is the most natural, the most beautiful, and the only true thing in the world. Let's drop our awareness down from the head, down past the throat, and let it settle gently in the center of the chest, in the region of the heart. Feel the gentle rhythm there. The pulse of life itself. From this place of flowing change, let's turn our attention to the most tender arena of our human experience, love and connection. How do we love, parent, partner, and friend in a world where everything, including our own hearts, is in constant motion? Imagine a master glassblower in a studio in Venice. The furnace roars. She gathers a molten, glowing orb of crystal at the end of a long blowpipe. Her breath is her tool. With a gentle, sustained exhale, she coaxes a bubble into the heart of the glass. Then, with skilled hands and simple tools, she shapes it, twisting, stretching, opening the form. The glass is over 1,000 degrees. It is alive, viscous, responsive. She cannot grip it. She cannot force it. She can only support it, guide it, and apply gentle, consistent pressure where needed. Her touch must be confident yet yielding, her intention clear yet adaptable. If she clenches, if she tries to control it like a solid object, it will shatter. The masterpiece is born from a dance between her guiding vision and the independent, flowing nature of the material itself. When it is complete, she places it in an annealing oven, where it cools slowly over many hours, solidifying into its final, breathtaking form. But even then, it remains glass, beautiful, useful, but inherently fragile. To be around it is to understand its nature, to handle it with care, not with possession. This is the art of loving without attachment. The loved one, child, partner, friend, is not clay to be sculpted into a permanent statue of our desire. They are molten glass, alive, having their own thoughts, in a constant state of becoming. Our role is not to grip and mold, but to provide the supportive, gentle, guiding breath and the safe, steady space, the annealing oven of our consistent presence, for them to cool into their own unique form. Attachment is the hand that clenches, demanding the glass conform now, and is shocked when it cracks or shatters. Love is the hand that knows how to hold without squeezing, that appreciates the beauty of the form as it is, even as it knows that form, too, will continue to change over time. Let me tell you about Matteo and his son, Luca. Matteo was a sculptor of marble, a man who believed in imposing vision upon resistant material. He had a clear blueprint for Luca: academic excellence, a practical career, a certain kind of respectable life. Luca, however, was not marble. He was a sensitive, artistic boy who loved sound, the rhythm of rain, the hum of subway trains, the layered chaos of the city. He dreamed of being a sound designer, a world of waveforms and abstract emotion that made no sense to Matteo. Matteo's attachment to his blueprint manifested as constant pressure, criticism of Luca's impractical interests, and a slow, cold distance between them. The fracture point came when Luca, at 19, dropped out of university. Matteo saw it as a shattering of his masterpiece. In his anger, he said words that created a silence between them that lasted for a year. During that year, Matteo, lonely in his quiet studio, found himself listless. One day, he put on a pair of noise-canceling headphones Luca had left behind. He turned them on. The sudden, profound silence was shocking. And in that silence, he heard his own heart, thumping with fear, not love. Fear that his son would fail. Fear that he, as a father, had failed. Fear of the unknown path Luca was taking. He took off the headphones and began, for the first time, to truly listen. Not to his own plans, but to the world. He heard the complex chorus of birds outside his window, the wind in the trees, things he'd always filtered out as noise. He remembered Luca, as a toddler, utterly captivated by the sound of a spoon circling in a ceramic mug. He hadn't seen that as the beginning of a path, he'd seen it as a distraction from learning his ABCs. Matteo began the hardest work of his life. He put down his chisel. He reached out to Luca with a simple note, "I would like to hear what you hear." Slowly, tentatively, Luca let him in. He played him field recordings, explained how he built mood from sound. Matteo didn't understand half of it, but he watched his son's face, alight with passion, fluent in a language his father was just learning. Matteo's love had to transform from the love of a sculptor for his creation to the love of a witness for a mystery unfolding. It meant releasing his attachment to the form, the doctor, the lawyer, and connecting with the essence, his son's aliveness, creativity, and joy. Their relationship didn't go back to what it was. It became something new, more honest, and more real. Matteo learned to be the steady, annealing presence, not the demanding shaper. He learned to hold Luca with an open hand. This is the core, attachment loves the form. Real love honors the essence. The essence of your child is not their grades or career, it's their unique spirit. The essence of your partner is not their role in your life or their constant availability, it's their own journey of becoming. The essence of a friendship is not its frequency or history, it's the quality of heart that connects you. Forms change, mature, drift, or end. Essence is timeless. When you love the essence, you can gracefully adapt to the changing forms. When you're attached to the form, you experience every change as a betrayal. Consider the migratory patterns of the monarch butterfly, a journey spanning continents and generations. No single butterfly completes the round trip. One generation flies north, lays eggs, and dies. The next generation continues, and the next, until the great-great-grandchildren of the original butterflies return to the same specific grove of trees in Mexico. There is a memory, an instinct, an essence of home and journey that is passed on, even as every individual form, each specific butterfly, lives, changes, and dies. The miracle is in the transference of the essence, not the permanence of the form. Our relationships have this migratory, generational quality. A friendship from your 20s might not survive the migration into the landscape of your 40s with young children. Its form may end. But the essence of what you shared, the support, the laughter, the growth it fostered, that becomes part of your internal compass, your instinct. It helps direct you to your next groove. Loving without attachment means appreciating the butterfly for the beautiful journey it's on, even if that journey takes it away from you, knowing that what it carried from you, and you from it, continues in unseen ways. This is profoundly challenging with romantic love, where our culture sells us the myth of the permanent, static form, happily ever after, a frozen moment of perfection. But a living relationship is not a frozen sculpture in a museum. It is a shared breath, a continuous co-creation, like two glassblowers working on the same piece, each with their own breath and vision. Sometimes the breaths synchronize into a harmonious, expanding bubble. Sometimes they need to pause, to let the glass cool, to rotate the pipe and see from a different angle. Sometimes, despite the best and most loving intentions, the piece cracks in the annealing oven. It doesn't mean the love wasn't real. It means the particular form that love was taking reached its natural conclusion. The essence of the love, the care, the respect, the moments of true seeing, that remains as part of you, annealed into your being. I knew a woman named Chloe, who after a decade of marriage, found herself and her husband in a quiet, lonely parallel existence. The passion had faded into routine, their growth had been in separate directions. The thought of ending it felt like a death, a failure of the forever form. She clung tighter, planning elaborate vacations, forcing conversations, trying to reheat the cooled glass. It only created more pressure, more fragility. What finally shifted her was a solo trip to the coast of Maine. She watched the tide pools for hours. In one pool, two hermit crabs inhabited the same, large shell, a temporary, commensal arrangement. As she watched, one crab, having grown too large, began the vulnerable, dangerous process of extricating itself to find a new, larger shell. The other crab remained. There was no drama, no betrayal. It was a simple, biological fact of growth. One needed a different container to continue its life. She saw her marriage as that shell. It had been a perfect home for a time, a container that protected and nurtured them both. But they had grown. The shell no longer fit. Clinging to it wasn't loyalty, it was a refusal to grow, a sentence to mutual confinement. Letting go wasn't a rejection of the past love, it was an acknowledgement that the form had served its purpose and was now limiting the essence, their individual growth, their capacity for joy. The subsequent divorce was sad, yes, but it was also a mutual, heartbreakingly respectful release. Years later, they were both in new, better-fitting shells, and could meet for coffee with genuine warmth. They had loved each other enough to let the form change, even if it meant letting go of the shared container. So, how do we practice this open-handed love? We practice blessing the departure. This is a silent, inner ritual. When you feel fear of loss, your child growing independent, a friend moving away, the natural evolution of a relationship. Instead of contracting in fear, practice, in your heart, blessing their journey. Imagine them surrounded in light, moving toward their own good, even if that good takes them away from you. You are not approving of every choice, you are acknowledging their sovereign right to their own path. This act transforms your energy from clingy and fearful to generous and trusting. It aligns you with the essence of love, which always seeks the beloved's highest good, even when it breaks your heart. In the next part, we'll look inward, at the relationship we have with the most constant companion of all, ourselves. How do we release the grip on our own story, our own flaws, our own evolving identity? For now, bring to mind one relationship. Feel it not as a fixed thing, but as a living breath, a piece of glass being shaped by two sets of hands, by time, by life. Can you feel where you might be gripping? Can you, just for this moment, soften your hold, and simply appreciate the beauty of the form, exactly as it is, right now? Let's bring our awareness home, to the intimate space within. Feel the inner landscape of your body. The rise and fall of the chest. The quiet hum of aliveness in your hands, your feet. From exploring love's open hand, we now turn to the most fundamental relationship, the one you have with yourself. How do you hold your own being within this river of change? With a clenched fist of criticism, or with the open palm of a hospitable host? There is a poem by the Sufi mystic Rumi that begins, "This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival." He lists them, a joy, a depression, a meanness, a momentary awareness. Welcome and entertain them all, he advises. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. Your conscious awareness is the guest house. It is not the furniture, not your beliefs, your personality traits, your accomplishments, your failures. It is the space that contains them. The thoughts, emotions, memories, and sensations are the guests. They arrive, stay for a time, and depart. Some are lovely, like the guest who brings music and laughter. Some are difficult, like the guest who is angry, or melancholy, or filled with anxious chatter. Our suffering stems from a case of mistaken identity. We stop being the hospitable host of the guest house and instead become one of the guests. When the guest of anxiety arrives, we don't say, "Ah, anxiety is here for a visit." We say, "I am anxious." We fuse with it. We let it rearrange all the furniture, dim the lights, and take over the management of the house. When the guest of self-criticism arrives, we don't observe its harsh commentary. We become its mouthpiece, berating ourselves in its voice. We are no longer the space, we are identified with the content. The practice of self-compassion and inner freedom is the practice of returning to being the host. It is stepping back into the awareness that can observe all the guests without being consumed by any of them. It is the ultimate act of non-attachment towards your own inner experience. Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel was a high school teacher, beloved by his students for his calm demeanor. But inside, Daniel's guest house was often in chaos. A perpetual guest named, "Not Good Enough," had taken up permanent residence, whispering critiques of every lesson plan, every interaction. Another frequent visitor was imposter, who mocked his authority. Daniel's way of coping was to try and be the perfect, silent butler to these difficult guests. He would rush to meet their every demand. Over-preparing, people-pleasing, hiding any perceived flaw. He was at war with his own interior, exhausting himself trying to evict guests that kept coming back. His turning point came during a summer silent retreat. On the third day, in the deep quiet, the guest of "not good enough" arrived with its usual force. But with no papers to grade, no one to perform for, Daniel had nowhere to run. The instruction from the teacher was simply, note the feeling. Where do you feel it in the body? Daniel located it, a cold, hard knot in his solar plexus. He was told to just breathe into that area, with kindness, as if comforting a child. As he did, a miraculous shift occurred. He didn't become the knot. He became the breath surrounding the knot. He became the space holding the hard feeling. For the first time, he had a separation. He was the guest house, and "not good enough" was just a guest currently residing in a specific room, his solar plexus. He could say, internally, "Ah, you're here again." Without judgment. Without fighting it. Just acknowledgement. And in that space of acknowledgement, the guest lost some of its power. It was just a feeling, not the truth of who he was. Over the days, he practiced this with every difficult guest: fear, boredom, restlessness. He stopped trying to be the perfect butler or the evicting landlord. He became the compassionate, steady host. The guests still came, but they no longer owned the deed to the house. His inner world became more spacious, more peaceful. He carried this back into his teaching, not as a perfect person, but as a man at peace with his own interior weather, and that calm was palpable to everyone around him. This is the heart of mindfulness, to be the host of your own experience. It is the practical application of the sky and weather metaphor. You are the sky. The guests are the weather systems. Consider the traditional Japanese inn, the ryokan. Its beauty is in its empty, clean simplicity. The tatami mat floors, the sliding shoji screens, the tokonoma alcove that holds a single, seasonal scroll and a flower arrangement. The space itself is the art. The guest arrives, and their presence is honored. Their belongings are placed in a designated cupboard. They bathe, they sleep on a futon laid out for them, and in the morning, the futon is put away. The room returns to its essential, empty state, ready for the day. The room does not cling to the impression of the last guest. It does not collect clutter. Its purpose is to be a serene, welcoming space for the present moment's experience. Your mind can be a ryokan. The thoughts and feelings are the guests. Your practice is the daily airing out of the tatami, the putting away of the futon of yesterday's worries, the sweeping clear of the mental clutter. You maintain the empty, clean space of awareness so that you can meet each new moment, each new guest, with freshness and clarity. Attachment is when you let a guest move in permanently, with all their baggage, cluttering up the beautiful, empty room of your present moment awareness. This practice leads to a radical form of self-acceptance. Not acceptance of a fixed, flawed self, but acceptance of the process of being a human guest house. You accept that difficult guests will arrive. You stop wasting energy trying to ban them from the premises, which is impossible, and instead learn the art of hospitable detachment. You can stay, you tell the guest of sadness, but you don't get to redecorate. You can sit in the corner by the window. I'll bring you tea, but I won't become you. I recall a story from a woman named Anya, who survived a traumatic event. For years afterwards, the guest of trauma was not just a visitor, it had barricaded itself in the master suite and taken over the entire house. Flashbacks were its violent eruptions. Hypervigilance was its security system. Anya's life became a series of attempts to besiege the room, to break down the door and evict the trauma, which only made it more entrenched and terrifying. Therapy finally offered her a new approach. Her therapist said, "What if you stopped trying to evict it? What if you just acknowledged it's there, in that room, and you let it be? You don't have to go in. You just have to know it's there, and live in the other rooms of your house." This was the beginning of her becoming the host again. She started by simply saying, when a flashback threatened, "That is the trauma guest. It is in its room. I am here, in the kitchen, feeling the solid counter under my hands." She grounded herself in the present moment sensations of the other rooms, the feel of sun on her skin, the sunroom, the taste of cool water, the kitchen, the sound of her friend's voice, the living room. Slowly, she reclaimed the house. The trauma guest didn't leave. But it was relegated to a single room, its door closed most of the time. She was no longer its prisoner, she was the owner of a large house, most of which was now filled with light and life. She had detached her identity from the worst of her experiences. She was the house, not the worst room in it. This is how we work with the deep, difficult patterns of our psyche. Not through war, but through compassionate containment and space-making. So, how do we practically cultivate this inner hospitality? We practice noting. It's a simple, gentle labeling. When you notice a strong thought or emotion, you softly note its category. Thinking, worrying, planning. Sadness is here. Joy is here. You don't say, "I am sad." You say, "Sadness is present." This tiny linguistic shift creates psychological distance. It reaffirms you as the observer, the host, the space, not the content. It is the host quietly noting, "A guest of melancholy has arrived in the drawing room." This simple act of naming without fusing is a profound tool for disidentification. In the next part, we will venture into the realm of action in the world, how we work, create, and strive from this place of inner spaciousness and non-attachment. How do we pour our heart into our work without tying our worth to its outcome? For now, just be the guest house. Sit in the quiet foyer of your own awareness. Listen. Feel. A guest may arrive. A thought, a sensation, a memory. Acknowledge it. Ah, welcome. Offer it the space to be, without making it the owner. You are the enduring, peaceful space. Everything else is a visitor. Let's feel our feet on the ground, the connection to the earth. Let's bring our breath down into the belly, feeling it swell and fall with each cycle. From the inner hospitality of the guest house, we now turn outward, to the world of action. How do we engage, work, create, and strive when we are no longer clinging to outcomes or identities? How do we pour our heart into our work without tying our soul to the result? Imagine a master carpenter in the mountains of Norway, building a traditional stabber, a storehouse on stilts. He selects wood from trees that grew on his own land, knowing their grain, their strength. He uses hand tools mostly, planes, chisels, saws. There is no power cord, no frantic rush. His attention is complete on the shaving of wood curling from his plane, on the fit of a joint. He is not thinking of the finished storehouse as a monument to his skill. He is in a conversation with the wood, with the geometry of the structure, with the tradition passed down through generations. He works with intense focus, yet there is a deep ease in his movements. He is not forcing the wood to conform. He is following its nature, joining it according to a timeless pattern. When the last peg is driven home and the roof is laid, he steps back. The storehouse is beautiful, functional, and will likely stand for 200 years. He feels a quiet satisfaction, then he turns and walks back to his home. His worth is not in the building. His worth was present in every mindful stroke of the plane. The building is a natural expression of his present moment attention and skill. It is a gift to the future, but it does not define him. He is already free to begin the next thing, or to do nothing at all. This is action without attachment. It is action that arises from alignment, not from craving for a specific result. The carpenter's joy is in the doing, in the quality of his attention, what the Zen tradition calls mindfulness of activity. The finished building is the fruit of that attention, but it is not the source of his peace. His peace was present throughout. We, however, often live in a state of what we could call transactional action. We act in order to get happiness, validation, security, love, a sense of worth. We attach our well-being to the outcome. I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will be worthy if this project succeeds. This turns our work into a tense, anxious negotiation with life. We are constantly looking over the shoulder of the present moment, toward a future reward that may or may not come. When the desired outcome is achieved, we experience a brief spike of relief or pride, which soon fades, and we must immediately attach our worth to the next goal. When the outcome fails, we feel we ourselves are a failure. This is an exhausting, painful way to live. Let me tell you about Kira. Kira was a brilliant software engineer at a Silicon Valley startup. Her identity was fused to being a 10x engineer, the mythical coder who does the work of 10. She worked 80-hour weeks. Her worth was the stock price, the lines of code written, the features shipped. She was attached to the outcome, a massive IPO that would make her rich and finally prove her brilliance. The work itself, which she once loved for its puzzle-solving beauty, became a means to an end, a grinding, stressful transaction. When the IPO finally happened, it was moderately successful. She had a moment of euphoria, followed by a profound, hollow emptiness. She had reached the summit, and the view was nothing. No lasting satisfaction. Just the chilling wind of, what now? A month later, burned out and disillusioned, she quit. She had no plan. For a year, she traveled, hiked, and did nothing related to tech. During that year, a friend from her old town, a teacher, asked if she could help build a simple website for a community garden project. Kira, with no pressure, just for fun, said yes. She found herself coding again, but differently. She wasn't thinking about scalability or venture capital. She was thinking about how to make a calendar interface that an elderly volunteer could easily use. She was solving a small, human problem. She felt the old joy of pure problem-solving return, but without the crushing weight of attached outcomes. The garden coordinator's gratitude was immediate and heartfelt. That was the result, a connection, a useful thing made. It was enough. Kira slowly began taking on small, meaningful projects for nonprofits and community groups. Her income was a fraction of what it was, but her life was rich in a way she couldn't have imagined. She had detached her sense of self from the grand, future-oriented outcome, the IPO, the fortune, and reattached it to the present moment quality of her attention and the direct service of her skill. She was no longer a 10x engineer for a corporate machine. She was a skilled person, using her gifts in the garden of the world, tending to small, beautiful patches where she could. Her action became generative, like gardening, not extractive, like mining. This aligns with the concept of dharma or right livelihood, not necessarily a specific job, but action that is aligned with your nature and contributes to the world without causing harm. It is action performed with full engagement but with an open hand regarding the fruits. The Bhagavad Gita, an ancient Indian text, puts it plainly: you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Do your work impeccably. Pour your heart into it. But do not make your inner peace hostage to whether it succeeds or fails, is praised or criticized. Consider the practice of ikebana, Japanese flower arranging. It is not about cramming as many blooms as possible into a vase. It is about creating a harmonious, balanced composition that highlights the inherent beauty and line of each branch, leaf, and flower, and that acknowledges the space around them. The arranger works with intense focus, considering angle, balance, seasonality. Yet the arrangement is, by its nature, impermanent. It will wilt in days. Its beauty is in the act of arranging, the mindful, creative dialogue with nature, and in the brief, perfect moment of its existence. The arranger does not cling to the arrangement. She appreciates it fully, and when the petals fall, she clears the vase without bitterness, ready for the next season's offering. Her art is in the doing, not in preserving the done. Your projects, your career, your creative endeavors can be approached as ikebana. Give them your full, mindful attention. Create something beautiful, useful, and true. But hold it lightly. Its lifespan may not be forever. Its reception may not be what you hoped. Your worth is in the sincerity and skill of your effort, not in the longevity or applause of the result. So how do we work in the world from this place? We practice process orientation. Before starting a task, take a breath and set an intention. My goal is not just the finished product. My goal is to be fully present, engaged, and skillful in each step of the process. When you find your mind leaping ahead to the outcome, will they like it? What if it fails? Gently bring it back to the sensation of your hands on the keyboard, the clarity of the next logical step, the breath in your body. You are the carpenter planing the wood, not the ego imagining the finished storehouse. I knew a novelist named Samuel who struggled with terrible writer's block for years. He was attached to the outcome, writing a brilliant, critically acclaimed, best-selling novel. The weight of that imagined future paralyzed him. Every sentence he wrote was judged against this monumental standard and found wanting. The blank page was a tribunal. His liberation came when he abandoned the novel. He started writing tiny, observational vignettes with no purpose, a description of the light on his kitchen wall at 4 p.m., a memory of his grandfather's hands, a fictional conversation between two squirrels in the park. He wrote them in a cheap notebook, with no plan to show anyone. He was just playing. He was just enjoying the act of arranging words, like ikebana with language. The pressure vanished. The joy returned. 2 years later, he had a notebook full of these fragments. Without forcing it, he began to see threads connecting them. That notebook became the raw, authentic material for his first published novel, a novel that was praised for its exquisite, present-moment detail. He had to let go of the attachment to the great novel to write a true one. He had to focus on the process of seeing and writing, not the idol of the result. This is the great secret of fruitful action: the less you need it to define you, the better it tends to become. Your energy is freed from the anxious task of managing your identity and can pour unimpeded into the work itself. In the next part, we'll look at one of the deepest attachments, the story of our own past. How do we release the grip on old narratives of injury, regret, or a glorified golden age to fully inhabit the power and possibility of now? For now, bring to mind a current project or duty. Can you feel any clinging around it? Any tension about how it must turn out? Breathe into that tension. Set the intention to be like the Norwegian carpenter, fully engaged in the next stroke of the plane, trusting that a series of such mindful strokes will, without strain, create something of integrity. Your worth is here, in your attentive presence. The outcome is in life's hands. Let's allow our awareness to become soft, like twilight. Let's turn our gaze gently inward, to the archives of the self, the place where we keep our stories. The tales of who we were, what was done to us, what we achieved, what we lost. From the garden of present moment action, we now look at the weight of the past, and how the act of letting go is not an erasure, but a profound liberation of memory itself. Picture an old, stone bridge in the Highlands of Scotland. It has stood for centuries, arching over a swift, peat-brown river. The stone is worn smooth by wind and rain, stained with lichen. This bridge is not just a structure, it's a record. Every traveler who has crossed it, every storm that has battered it, has left an invisible mark. The bridge holds these memories in its very substance. But it does not cling to them. It does not tell and retell the story of the fierce storm of 1782 to every leaf that floats beneath it. It does not resent the weight of the farmer's cart from last Tuesday. It simply is. It performs its function in the present, to provide passage, while bearing the beautiful, silent patina of all that has passed. It is a testament to endurance, not a prisoner of history. You are that bridge. Your experiences, the joys, the traumas, the loves, the failures, have shaped you. They are the weathering on your stone. They have made you who you are in this moment. But you are not the stories about those events. You are not the looping narrative of grievance, the museum of old glories, the haunted house of regret. You are the living structure in the present. Suffering arises when we stop being the bridge and start being the full-time tour guide of our own past, constantly leading ourselves and others through the same dusty exhibits, feeling the old pains and prides as if they are happening now. We attach our present identity to past events, letting them dictate who we are allowed to be. Let me tell you about Henry. Henry was a retired ship's captain from New Orleans. His great story, the one that defined him, was the storm of '85, a hurricane in the Gulf where he saved his vessel and crew through sheer will and seamanship. For decades, it was his proof of courage, his claim to respect. But as he aged, with his sailing days behind him, the story became a cage. He lived in the faded glory of that one event. He'd tell it at any gathering, his eyes bright with the old fear and triumph. But in the quiet moments, a deep sadness settled in him. He felt the rest of his life was an epilogue to that one great chapter. He was attached to a version of himself that existed 30 years prior. The vibrant, present moment man was buried under the monument to the captain of '85. His grandson, a quiet boy of 10, loved to draw. One day, the boy drew a picture of Henry, not as a captain, but as he was now, sitting in his armchair, a book on his lap, a cat curled at his feet, afternoon light through the window. He titled it, Grandpa, Home. When Henry saw it, he was startled. The drawing had a profound peace he didn't feel. "But where's my ship?" he muttered. The boy said, "It's in the harbor, Grandpa. It's safe. You're home." That phrase, "you're home," landed in Henry like a quiet bomb. He realized he'd been mentally at sea, in that storm, for 30 years. He had never truly disembarked. He was clinging to the wheel of a ship that was long docked. He began the slow, tender work of unclenching his hands from that story. He didn't deny it or forget it. He placed it in the proper past. He allowed himself to be the man in the armchair. He discovered a love for gardening, for the slow, patient growth of camellias. The courage he once needed for the storm transformed into the patience needed for a blossom. He stopped being the story of the storm and became the man who had weathered it, and was now enjoying the calm. The memory became part of his patina, not his entire identity. This is the work, to move from identification with our stories to integration of our experiences. An integrated memory is like the lichen on the bridge, part of its beauty, but not its function. An identified memory is like trying to rebuild the entire bridge in the image of one crack. Consider the ancient redwood forests of California. These trees live for thousands of years. They bear scars from fires that raged centuries ago. Some are hollowed out by lightning strikes. Yet, they are not defined by these injuries. They grow around them. The scar becomes part of the trunk's architecture, the hollow becomes a home for owls and raccoons. The tree does not spend its energy resenting the fire or the lightning. It uses the event, integrates it, and continues its relentless growth skyward. Its life is not about the scar, its life is including the scar in its majestic journey toward the light. Our psychological and emotional scars can be like this. We can grow around them. We can let them become part of our unique architecture, even allowing them to create hollows of compassion where others can find shelter. This is not about glorifying pain. It's about refusing to let pain have the final, defining word on who you are. A powerful practice for this is called the litany of release. It's done in writing or silent contemplation. You take a specific, sticky memory, a regret, a resentment, a past version of yourself you're clinging to. You honor it. You write it down or see it clearly in your mind. Then, you speak to it with the voice of the bridge, not the tour guide. You might say, I see you. You happened. You are part of my river. But you are not the river. I thank you for what you taught me. I forgive what needs forgiving, myself or others. And now, I release you from active duty. I let you rest in the past, where you belong. Then, you consciously feel your feet on the ground, your breath in your lungs, and you reaffirm. I am here. Now. This ritual helps the mind recategorize the memory from a current event to a historical one. I knew a woman named Lila who carried a deep resentment toward her sister over a decades-old dispute about their mother's care. The story was a tape loop in her mind, rehearsing arguments, fueling a Cold War. It was a thick, heavy chain linking her present to that past conflict. She was attached to her role as the wronged one. During a meditation retreat, during a long walking period, she found herself pacing a gravel path, the old anger rising. The instruction was to simply note, walking, walking. But beneath it, she felt, resenting. Suddenly, she had a clear image. She saw herself not as a woman walking, but as a prisoner, dragging a heavy, clanking chain attached to a ball that was her sister's face from 30 years ago, frozen in anger. The weight was immense. And she realized with stunning clarity, she is not holding the other end of this chain. I am. Her sister had likely moved on, was living her life. Lila was the sole jailer and prisoner in this dungeon of memory. In that moment, she stopped. She imagined bending down, finding the lock on the chain around her own ankle, and with a deliberate click, opening it. She let the chain and the heavy ball fall to the gravel path. She didn't have to reconcile with her sister, though she later did. She simply had to stop dragging the past. She walked on, feeling strangely light, almost unbalanced by the lack of weight. The memory didn't disappear. But its emotional charge, its power to define her present mood, was broken. She had detached from the story. The bridge was cleared for present traffic. This is crucial. Letting go of a story does not mean it didn't happen or that it didn't matter. It means you are choosing not to let it colonize your present. You are choosing to be free. In the next part, we will face the ultimate attachment, the attachment to life itself, to our very existence. How do we live with open-hearted passion while holding the reality of mortality lightly? For now, feel the architecture of your own bridge. Sense the weathering, the patina of all your years. Honor it. But then, feel the solidity of your structure in this present moment. Your function is not to be a museum of the past. Your function is to provide passage. For your own spirit, and for the love you offer others, from this moment to the next. Let the river of time flow beneath you. You are the steady span across it. Let's allow the breath to become very soft, almost invisible. Let's rest in the quiet hum of existence. We've explored releasing our grip on the past. Now, we turn to the most profound, most natural, and often most feared attachment of all, our attachment to being itself. Our grip on life. Our resistance to the great, tender mystery of our own mortality. How do we live with passionate intensity while holding the fact of our end with an open, unclenched heart? Imagine a single candle flame in a vast, dark, silent cathedral. It's night. The flame is a tiny, golden, dancing point of light. It illuminates just a small circle of the stone floor, the base of a column. It breathes with the faint drafts in the air, wavering, sometimes stretching tall, sometimes bowing low. It is utterly fragile. A stronger gust could extinguish it in an instant. Yet, within its fragility, it is complete. It gives its light freely, without reservation, to the darkness that surrounds it. It does not burn while anxiously looking over its shoulder at the approaching dawn or fearing the next draft. It simply burns. Fully. Completely. Its beauty and its purpose are inextricably linked to its temporariness. A permanent, unchanging flame would not be a candle. It would be a monument, devoid of the living dance. The candle's gift is its vulnerable, temporary light. You are that flame. Your life is that burn. The great, loving darkness from which you emerged and to which you will return is the cathedral. Our suffering around mortality comes from a misunderstanding. We see the darkness as an enemy to the flame, a void that threatens to swallow our light. We burn with a frantic, grasping energy, trying to build a fortress against the draft, to become a permanent monument. But the darkness is not the enemy. It is the context that makes the flame visible, meaningful, and beautiful. The flame and the darkness need each other. Without the darkness, the flame's light would be invisible, pointless. Without the flame, the darkness would not know it could be illuminated. To live without attachment to life is not to live with morbidity or indifference. It is to live like the candle, burning fully, generously, and brightly, precisely because you know your light is temporary. It is to exchange the anxiety of clinging for the poignancy of preciousness. When you deeply know the draft could come at any moment, you stop wasting your burn on resentment, pettiness, and fear. You become fiercely present. You love more urgently, you create more freely, you forgive more easily. Let me tell you about Ilara. Ilara was a botanist who specialized in ephemeral flora, flowers that bloom for only a single day, or even a single night, like the night-blooming cereus. She spent years in remote jungles and deserts, waiting for these brief, spectacular events. Colleagues found her work frustrating. Why devote your life to something that disappears so quickly, they'd ask. For Ilara, that was the entire point. She told me about sitting in a Bornean rainforest, watching a rafflesia bud for weeks. It's the world's largest flower, but it blooms for just 4 or 5 days and smells like rotting meat to attract flies. The day it opened, she sat before it from dawn to dusk. It was grotesque and magnificent. Flies swarmed. The stench was overwhelming. And she wept with a joy she couldn't explain. Its entire evolutionary purpose, she said, millions of years of adaptation, culminates in this one, brief, outrageous performance. It doesn't hold back. It doesn't try to smell like a rose to please anyone. It is completely, unabashedly itself, for the short time it has. It made me wonder, if I truly accepted that my bloom was just as temporary, what would I stop pretending to be? What essence of me would I let erupt, without apology, into the world? Ilara lived with a unique vitality. She wasn't reckless, but she was radically authentic. She spoke her truth kindly but clearly. She loved deeply and expressed it often. She pursued curiosities without worrying if they'd lead to a legacy. She had internalized the lesson of her flowers: the beauty is in the full-throated, unrepeatable expression of being, not in its duration. Her attachment wasn't to a long life, but to a fully expressed life. In knowing the darkness was there, she learned to burn without holding back her light. This perspective mirrors the Zen concept of mono no aware, a gentle sadness, a wistfulness about the impermanence of things. It's not a crushing grief, but a poignant appreciation of the fleeting beauty of a cherry blossom, a falling leaf, a human life. It's the heart's recognition that the temporariness is what makes the moment sacred. Holding your child, knowing they will grow up. Watching a sunset, knowing it will fade. This sadness is not separate from joy, it is its deepest flavor. It is the candle aware of the cathedral. How do we cultivate this fearless intimacy with life's brevity? We practice the farewell gaze. It's a way of looking at the people and things you love as if you are seeing them for the last time. Not with panic, but with intense, grateful attention. Look at your partner's sleeping face and truly see the curve of their cheek. Hold your friend's hand and feel the warmth and texture of their skin. Stand in your garden and drink in the specific green of the leaves. this practice does not morbidly anticipate loss. It fiercely celebrates presence. It pulls you out of the taken-for-granted trance and into the sacred reality of the moment. It teaches you to love what is in front of you, not the idea of it being there forever. Consider the tradition of Jisei, or death poem, in Japanese and Zen culture. It is a final poem, often a haiku, composed by monks, samurai, and poets on their deathbed. It is not typically a grand summation or a plea for more time. It is often a startlingly simple, clear observation of the present moment, a final anchor in reality. One famous example by the Zen monk Kozan Ikkyu reads, "For 50 years, I've been a busy man. Now, through the window, the moon." In his final moments, he doesn't cling to his achievements or lament his end. He simply notes the moon, beautiful and distant, shining through the window. He lets go of the story of the busy man and returns to being pure awareness, witnessing the moon. The poem is an ultimate act of non-attachment, a release of the self into the suchness of the world. We don't have to wait for our deathbed to write our Jisei. We can write it with our lives, every day. We can practice letting go of the busy, constructed self each evening, and simply be the awareness that sees the moon. This is how we make peace with the great letting go that awaits us all. I recall a story from a palliative care doctor, Dr. Eris. He said the greatest fear he saw in his patients was not pain, but meaninglessness, the fear that their life would add up to nothing. The ones who found peace, he said, were not those who had lived the most extraordinary lives by external standards, but those who had learned to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. One man, a former bus driver, found profound peace in remembering not the routes or the hours, but the thousands of brief, anonymous connections, the old lady he helped with her groceries every Tuesday, the tired student who slept on the last run, the morning light on familiar streets. His life's meaning was not a monument, but a mosaic of small, kind attentions. He had been a candle flame, offering a little light on a daily route, and in the end, that was enough. He didn't need to cling to the flame, he could appreciate the warmth it gave while it burned. This is the final release, to see that your life's meaning is not a trophy to be clutched, but a quality of attention you gave, a love you expressed, a presence you offered. It is the light of your candle, not its duration. In our final part, we will bring all these threads together. We'll explore how a life lived with open hands becomes not a life of lack, but a life of unimaginable richness and effortless receiving. We'll see how the very act of letting go magnetizes the peace and connection we've always sought. For now, simply be the candle. Feel the fragility of this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. And within that fragility, feel the immense, powerful opportunity to burn clearly, to give your light without condition, to illuminate the small, sacred circle of your present experience. The darkness is not to be feared. It is the velvet cloth upon which your brilliant, temporary light is displayed. As we settle into this space, let's turn our attention to a subtle but powerful shift, the movement from allowing to welcoming. We've spoken of letting go, of non-resistance. But there is a stage beyond merely tolerating change, it is the active, gentle welcome of what is. Not with resignation, but with a curious, open-hearted yes. Imagine an old, wooden farmhouse door in rural Ireland. It's never locked. Its paint is weathered by Atlantic storms, and it sits slightly ajar on its hinges. Inside, a fire burns in the hearth. This door does not resist the wind, it allows it to whistle through the crack, carrying the scent of rain and peat. It does not resist the traveler, it invites the push of a hand. It does not resist the cat seeking shelter, it yields to its scratch. The door's purpose is not to be an impenetrable barrier, but a permeable threshold between the warmth within and the wild world without. It stands as an unforced welcome. It provides distinction without division, a meeting place. Your awareness can be that door. Often, we are either barricaded doors, resistant, armored, closed off. Or doors flung off their hinges, overwhelmed, with no boundary. The practice is to become the door that is ajar. To feel the distinction between your inner sanctum and the outer world, but to allow a gentle, conscious exchange. To welcome experiences, thoughts, feelings, sensations, people, not by dragging them inside and chaining them to the hearth, attachment, nor by slamming the door in their face, aversion. But by letting them touch the threshold of your awareness, feel the warmth from within, and then pass through. Some guests will stay for tea. Others will simply move on. The door remains unchanged, a point of graceful contact. This unforced welcome is the essence of equanimity. It is the heart saying, "Come in, rain. I have a fire. Come in, sorrow. I have a chair by the window. Come in, joy. Let's dance for a moment in the kitchen." It is not passive. It is profoundly receptive, which is its own kind of strength. Let me tell you about Silas. Silas was a conflict mediator in a city riddled with social strife. For years, he saw his role as a builder of walls, negotiating treaties that were essentially elaborate barriers. He was exhausted, cynical. The conflicts always found a new crack. On a sabbatical, he stayed at a remote monastery that had a famous, ancient gate. The gate was never closed, day or night. He asked the abbot, "Aren't you afraid? What keeps danger out?" The abbot smiled. The gate isn't there to keep anything out. It's there to show you where you are. You cross it, and you know you are entering a place of a different intention. The danger you speak of usually forgets its purpose by the time it walks from the gate to the main hall. This insight changed Silas's work. He stopped trying to build walls between factions. Instead, he began to facilitate the creation of gates. Shared spaces, literal and metaphorical, where people could voluntarily come together under a shared intention, a community garden on a disputed strip of land, a story-sharing circle. He didn't force resolutions, he created thresholds where dialogue could naturally cross. The tensions didn't vanish, but they lost their hard edges. People began to see each other as humans who had crossed the same gate, not as permanent enemies on the other side of a wall. Silas learned that true peace isn't the absence of conflict, but the capacity to hold conflict at the threshold of understanding, without letting it burn down the house. In your inner life, you can practice this. When anger arises, instead of resisting it, slam the door, or becoming it, let it burn down the house, you can place it at the threshold. Ah, anger is here. I see you. I feel your heat. You may stand there. Tell me, what are you protecting? This welcoming inquiry disarms the emotion's blind force. It becomes a messenger, not a master. Consider the mangrove tree, thriving in the brackish, ever-changing tides of tropical coastlines. Its roots are not a solid wall against the sea. They are a tangled, porous network, a threshold between land and ocean. They filter the salt, stabilize the shore, and create nurseries for fish. They don't resist the tide, they use its comings and goings to bring nutrients and disperse seeds. They are a living embodiment of the unforced welcome, creating fertile complexity from constant change. Your psyche can be a mangrove ecosystem. The tides of emotion, the brackish mix of joy and sorrow, the constant change, these aren't threats to be walled off. They are the conditions for a uniquely resilient and fertile inner life. Your roots of awareness can learn to filter, stabilize, and create life from it all. So, how do we cultivate this? Practice the threshold breath. When you encounter a difficult internal experience, pause. Feel your feet on the ground. On your inhale, imagine drawing the experience toward you, not inside you, but to the threshold of your awareness. On your exhale, imagine you are the door itself, breathing out a steady, warm presence around it. You are not pulling it in, identifying with it, nor pushing it away, repressing it. You are simply acknowledging its presence at the gate. This small, somatic practice builds the neural pathway of welcome. I remember a teacher named Amina, who ran a school in a refugee camp. The children carried unimaginable stories. She didn't have them process their trauma in aggressive therapy sessions. Instead, she created welcome circles each morning. The children would sit, and the only instruction was, if something is feeling big in your heart, you can say its name and place it in the center of our circle. You don't have to tell its story. Just name it. Sadness is here. Missing is here. The children would speak these names into the shared space. The feeling wasn't locked inside them, nor was it ignored. It was welcomed into the circle, held by the community's silent attention, and in that act of shared witnessing, it often lost some of its terrifying power. They were building a collective threshold, a gate where pain could be acknowledged without destroying the sanctity of their shared day. This is the power of the unforced welcome. It builds resilience not through fortification, but through fearless, compassionate contact. In the next part, we'll explore the fertile silence that emerges when we stop constantly arranging the furniture of our minds, the deep creativity that springs from not knowing. For now, simply feel yourself as that Irish farmhouse door. Slightly ajar. The fire inside is your loving awareness. Whatever weather of thought or feeling is outside, let it touch the threshold. You don't have to let it in or keep it out. Just know it's there. And know you are here, warm, steady, and open. Welcome back. Let's allow our minds to grow soft at the edges. Release the need to understand, to figure things out. Let's sink into a space that exists before answers, a space that is often more fertile than any conclusion we could reach, the space of not knowing. Imagine a vast, open savanna at dusk in the Serengeti. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, washing the sky in violet and orange. The day's heat is giving way to a cool, expansive stillness. In this in-between light, visibility changes. The sharp, defining details of noon are gone. Shapes become softer, boundaries blur. A herd of elephants might be a moving, gray shadow against the land. This is the crepuscular hour, the threshold between day and night. It is a time of heightened sensitivity for the animals. Predators and prey alike must rely on senses other than clear sight, on subtle sounds, on shifts in the wind, on intuition. In this ambiguous light, the world is not a collection of separate, known objects, but a field of interconnected possibility. To survive here, one must be comfortable with not seeing clearly, and instead, learn to listen and feel the whole. Your mind has a crepuscular hour. It is the space between thoughts, the pause after a question before the brain rushes in with an answer, the moment of quiet wonder when you don't have a label for what you're feeling. We are often taught to fear this space. We call it confusion, uncertainty, ignorance. We rush to fill it with noise, with old answers, with the harsh stadium lights of certainty. But in doing so, we miss its profound wisdom. This space of not knowing is where true listening happens. It is where intuition whispers. It is where new understanding is born, not from old knowledge, but from a fresh perception of the field. Let me tell you about Leo. Leo was a renowned astrophysicist, a man who spent his career mapping the known universe, defining equations for cosmic phenomena. His identity was built on knowing. After a lifetime of accolades, he developed a degenerative eye condition that slowly stole his central vision. He could no longer read equations, analyze complex data visualizations, or even recognize the faces of his colleagues clearly. His world became that crepuscular savanna, shapes, light, and shadow without sharp definition. At first, it was a torment. He felt his self, his intellect, dissolving. He fought it with audiobooks, with assistants reading to him, trying to keep his knowing mind alive. But one evening, sitting on his porch, unable to read, he simply listened. He heard the layers of the night in a way he never had. The chirp of crickets forming a rhythmic bass line, the distant bark of a dog, the sigh of wind through pine needles, the vast, silent backdrop of stars he could only perceive as faint smudges of light. He wasn't analyzing frequencies or stellar distances. He was immersed in the symphony of the present. In that immersion, a strange thing happened. Freed from the tyranny of sharp focus and conceptual labels, his mind began to make connections of a different kind. He started thinking about cosmic questions not as equations, but as patterns of relationship, as harmonies. He began dictating ideas that were more poetic, more holistic, and, according to his stunned colleagues, more creatively insightful than his earlier, precise work. He had entered the wisdom of the savannah dusk. By losing his sharp, defining sight, he gained a panoramic, intuitive feel for the field. His greatest contributions came not from what he knew, but from his courageous comfort with what he could no longer see clearly. He had to let go of his identity as the one who knows, to become the one who wonders. This is the profound gift of embracing not knowing. It is the state the Zen tradition calls shoshin, beginner's mind. It is an attitude of openness, eagerness, and lack of preconceptions, even when studying at an advanced level. Like a beginner who doesn't know what is or isn't possible, the mind becomes free to perceive freshly, without the constraints of expert opinion, including its own. Consider the way a master musician approaches a familiar piece. If they are attached to knowing it perfectly, the performance can become stiff, a technical recitation. But if they approach it with beginner's mind, as if encountering the notes for the first time, they might discover a new phrasing, a fresh emotion, a living conversation with the silence between the notes. Their expertise provides the technique, but their not knowing provides the aliveness. In your own life, when faced with a problem, the mind often rushes to the filing cabinet of past experiences for a known solution. This can be useful. But often, the current situation is unique. The creative, transformative solution lies in the crepuscular space, in pausing, admitting, I don't know, and then opening all your senses to the situation as it is, not as it resembles the past. It is in that open, unknowing space that inspiration strikes. How do we practice dwelling in not knowing? We practice the questioning pause. When you feel the anxious urge to have an answer, to define, to conclude, consciously insert a pause. Breathe into the gap. Say to yourself, internally, I don't know yet. Feel the vulnerability of that. Then, instead of thinking about the problem, bring your awareness into your body. Feel your feet. Listen to the actual sounds around you. Look at something without labeling it. Be present to the raw data of your senses, before your thinking mind organizes it into a story. From this grounded, sensory place, ask a fresh, open question: what does this situation feel like, or what wants to happen? The answer that arises may not be a verbal solution, but a gut feeling, an image, or a sudden clarity about the next small step. I knew a painter named Alara who hit a terrible block. Every canvas felt dead, a repetition of old techniques. She knew too much about composition, color theory, her own style. In frustration, she enrolled in a class for absolute beginners, using her non-dominant hand. The results were clumsy, childish scribbles. She had no skill, no knowledge, no style with that hand. And in that utter not knowing, she began to play. She made messes. She mixed colors instinctively. She felt the paint with a primal joy she hadn't felt in years. Out of those messy, ignorant exercises emerged a bold, new direction for her work that critics called a breakthrough. She had to become a beginner again to remember how to see. This applies to relationships, too. Think of the times you've thought, I know exactly how they'll react, or I know this type of person. That knowing is a wall. It prevents you from meeting the actual, living person in front of you in this moment, who is always changing. Releasing that knowing allows for true meeting. In the next part, we'll explore the ultimate trust fall, leaning into the arms of life itself, when all strategies and knowledge fail. We'll look at the surrender that is not defeat, but a homecoming to a support that was always there. For now, rest in the savannah dusk of your own mind. Let the sharp edges of your certainties soften. Listen to the sounds of your life without immediately naming them. Feel the space between your thoughts. In this not knowing, you are not lost. You are simply present to the vast, mysterious, and interconnected field of being, where the next true step is not calculated, but sensed. Let's allow a deep sense of heaviness to settle into the body, not the heaviness of burden, but the heaviness of release. The feeling of letting something else hold you up. Imagine the total surrender of a sleeping child, carried from the car to their bed. They are dead weight, trust made physical. In that state, there is no strategy, no holding on. The child is held by arms that will not drop them. From the space of not knowing, we move now into a deeper territory, the experience of being held. Not by a person, but by life itself. By the fundamental intelligence of existence. Picture a deep, warm, saltwater flotation tank. You step in, lie back, and the dense mineral solution holds you so perfectly that you cannot sink. You are cradled, suspended in silent darkness. There is no up or down to maintain. Your muscles, accustomed to a lifelong, unseen battle against gravity, have nothing to do. One by one, they let go. The jaw unclenches. The shoulders drop away from the ears. The spine lengthens. You are not doing the floating. You are being floated. The support is absolute, unconditional. It was always there, you just had to stop fighting it to feel it. In that weightless suspension, you might have a profound realization: you have never not been held. The earth has always been beneath your feet. The air has always filled your lungs. The force that spins planets has kept your heart beating. You have simply been too busy gripping, bracing, and trying to hold yourself up to notice the arms that have always been there. This is the essence of trust. Not trust that something will happen, a specific outcome, but trust in, a relaxed, embodied confidence in the fundamental benevolence and intelligence of the unfolding process. It is the shift from being the swimmer, thrashing against the current, to being the floater, cradled by the sea. Let me tell you about Misha. Misha was a single mother and a freelance photographer whose life was a high-wire act of deadlines, childcare, and financial precarity. Her mind was a constant, buzzing control tower, micromanaging every minute. She believed her family's survival depended solely on the tightness of her grip. Then, she was diagnosed with a serious but treatable illness. The treatment left her weak, unable to work or care for her young daughter with her usual intensity. Her meticulously built tower of control collapsed. For the first week, she lay in bed in a state of sheer terror. Then, something unexpected began to happen. Friends and neighbors, whom she'd always kept at a polite distance, showed up. They organized a meal train. They drove her daughter to school. A fellow photographer she barely knew took over her urgent clients. Her ex-husband stepped up with more childcare. Her body, in its weakness, forced her to receive. And in that receiving, she had a revelation. The support had always been there, a network of care woven through her community. But her attachment to being the strong one, the provider, the one in control, had been a wall that kept it out. She had been holding herself up, refusing to lean on the flotation tank of community, believing that to need was to fail. The illness didn't create the support, it removed the obstacle to perceiving it, her own fierce, lonely independence. As she healed, she carried this knowing forward. She worked less frantically. She asked for help before reaching crisis. She saw her work not as a solitary lifeline, but as a thread in a larger tapestry. The chronic anxiety that had been her fuel evaporated. She hadn't become passive, she had become permeable to support. She learned to trust the arms of her world. This points to a universal truth: the universe is not a cold, empty void. It is a living, interconnected system that tends toward balance, growth, and complexity, from the symbiotic relationship in a drop of pond water to the gravitational dance of galaxies. You are not an isolated fragment thrown into a hostile arena. You are a manifestation of this intelligent, creative process. When you align with it, through release, not force, you feel its support. This is not a spiritual bypass of real suffering. It is the discovery of a foundational resilience beneath the surface waves of circumstance. Consider the banyan tree, found across India and Southeast Asia. It begins life as a seed dropped in the crevice of another tree. It sends roots down, not to the ground at first, but through the air. These aerial roots grow downward like slender, seeking threads until they touch the earth and take root. Over decades, these roots thicken into secondary trunks, supporting the ever-expanding canopy. A single banyan can look like a small forest. It is held, originally, by the host tree. Then, it is held by its own, self-created network of supports. Finally, it becomes the support for countless forms of life: birds, insects, mosses. Its strength is in its interconnectedness, its willingness to be supported and to become support. It does not strive to be a solitary, towering pine. It thrives by weaving itself into the fabric of the ecosystem. You are like that. You were held at the beginning. You are held now, by the planet, by relationships, by unseen networks. And your purpose, in part, is to become part of the holding for others. The suffering of isolation comes from believing the myth of the solitary pine. So, how do we practice leaning into these arms? We practice the fall. It's a simple, physical metaphor. Stand with your feet firmly planted. Now, on an exhale, let your knees soften ever so slightly, allowing your body weight to drop just a centimeter lower. Feel how the earth instantly rises to meet that new weight. You didn't fall, you were received. The support adjusted seamlessly. Do this mentally. When a worry about the future arises, instead of bracing against it mentally, consciously exhale and imagine letting your mental weight fall into the present moment. I don't know how this will work out. Exhale, soften. Feel the support of the now, the breath in your lungs, the solid chair. The future is not here to hold you, the present is. Trust the ground of this moment. I remember a veteran mountain guide in the Alps, Franz. He said the most important lesson for climbers isn't about holding on tight, it's about learning to rest on the rope. When you're on a secure belay, you can lean back into empty space, letting the rope take your full weight, to rest your arms and look at the route. Novices cling to the rock face until they are exhausted, unable to trust the system. The rope, he said, is like the present moment. It is always there, connected to something solid. But you have to have faith enough to lean back into it to get your strength back for the next move. Your meditation practice, your breath, your awareness, these are your rope. In moments of overwhelm, you don't have to solve the problem. You can lean back into your breath. Let awareness hold the worry while you rest in the simple fact of being. The system is secure. You are belayed by consciousness itself. In the next part, we'll bring this trust into the realm of desire and intention. How do we move toward what we want, plant seeds for the future, without the anxious energy of clinging? We'll explore the art of planting without staring at the ground. For now, simply feel the support. The chair holds your body. The air fills your lungs. Gravity anchors you. The silent, intelligent process of life beats your heart. You are being floated. You can stop fighting now. You can rest in the arms that have never once let you go. Welcome back. Let's bring our hands together, palm to palm, at the heart. Feel the gentle warmth, the subtle pulse. From the deep trust of being held, we now turn toward the future. Not with grasping, but with a new kind of intention. How do we move toward dreams, plant seeds of change, and nurture hopes without the frantic energy of attachment? How do we care for the garden of tomorrow without uprooting today's peace? Imagine a farmer in the hills of Tuscany, in early spring. The soil is cool and dark. He walks the rows with a pouch of seeds, tiny, hard, inert specks. He doesn't plant with a grimace of worry, thinking, you must grow. You must be perfect. My livelihood depends on you. He plants with a quiet, almost ritualistic care. He makes a hole, drops the seed, covers it with earth, pats it gently. His action is complete, decisive, and full of hope. But then, he walks away. He doesn't dig the seed up every day to check for roots. He doesn't scream at the sky for rain or sun on a specific schedule. He tends to other tasks. He trusts the intelligence within the seed, the nutrients in the soil, the reliability of the seasons, even when a late frost comes. And the mystery of growth he can influence but never control. His faith is in the process, not in his ability to force an outcome. He does his part, the planting, the weeding, the watering, and then he surrenders the rest to a larger intelligence. The harvest will come, in its own time and its own way. Some seeds will thrive, others will not. This is the nature of farming, and of life. We are all farmers of our lives. Our intentions, our efforts, our kind words, our work. These are the seeds we plant. Attachment is when we plant the seed and then chain ourselves to that spot, obsessing over every millimeter of growth, trying to control the weather, and defining our worth by the size of the eventual fruit. This exhausts us and poisons the soil with our anxiety. Non-attached action is to plant the seed with clear intention and full care, then to walk away internally, to return our attention to the present moment garden of our current life, trusting that the laws of cause and effect will do their work. Let me tell you about Priya. Priya dreamed of starting a bakery that featured recipes from her South Indian grandmother. For years, it was a fantasy. Then, she decided to plant a seed. The seed wasn't "open a successful bakery." That was the distant, intimidating tree. The seed was, "Bake one of grandmother's recipes perfectly this weekend." She did it. It was joyful. The next seed, "Share this with 3 friends and ask for feedback." She did it. Then, research a local farmer's market vendor license. Each action was a small, complete seed planted in the soil of the present. She didn't quit her day job. She didn't take out a massive loan. She simply tended her small, daily plot. When self-doubt arose, "This will never work," she didn't argue with it or let it halt her. She acknowledged the weed of doubt, and gently returned to the next small, plantable action. When a friend offered her a trial spot at a holiday market, it felt like the first green shoot, not something she had forced, but a natural response to the seeds of effort and passion she had been consistently planting. The bakery, when it finally opened years later, grew organically from this patient, faithful process. Priya's success wasn't a dramatic, forced breakthrough. It was the natural harvest of countless well-tended seeds, planted without desperation. Her peace was never tied to the outcome because her satisfaction was in the planting itself, in honoring her grandmother, in the smell of cardamom, in the act of sharing. The bakery was a beautiful fruit, but it wasn't the root of her joy. This is the art of right effort in Buddhism. It is effort that is balanced, sustained, and joyful, not strained, frantic, and rooted in craving. It is the effort of the Tuscan farmer, not the effort of a gambler pulling a slot machine lever. Consider the process of composting. You gather kitchen scraps, apple cores, eggshells, coffee grounds, things that seem like waste, like failed plans or rotten outcomes. You add them to a pile with dry leaves. You turn it occasionally. But mostly, you let it sit. You trust the invisible, microbial intelligence to break it down, to transform what was discarded into rich, black, fertile humus. You don't stand over the compost bin demanding, "Become soil now." You let time and process work. Then, months later, you use that humus to nourish your new seeds. Your past failures, your discarded efforts, your broken dreams, when released from your grip of regret, become the compost for your future growth. They are not waste, they are nutrition in decomposition. This is the cycle of non-attached living: plant, tend, release, compost, nourish anew. So, how do we practice this faithful planting? We practice the seed ritual. When you have a goal or intention, break it down into the smallest, most actionable seed you can plant today. It should be so small that it feels almost effortless. Send one inquiry email. Walk for 15 minutes. Write 3 sentences. Perform that action with your full, loving attention, as if you are that Tuscan farmer placing a seed in the earth. Then, when it's done, consciously brush the soil from your hands. Say to yourself, the seed is planted. Your job is now to tend your present moment garden, your mood, your health, your relationships, and to water the seed with consistent, small actions when the time is right, but not to dig it up. You trust the process. I knew a writer, Thomas, who wanted to write a novel. For years, the blank document terrified him because he was attached to the idea of a finished, brilliant novel. The gap between the blank page and that imagined masterpiece was a chasm of anxiety. His breakthrough came when he set a goal not to write a novel, but to write one true sentence. Just one. Each day, he'd open his document and write a single sentence that felt honest. Some days it was, the coffee was bitter. Other days, it was a line of dialogue. That was his seed. He planted it and closed the document. The pressure vanished. Over a year, without drama, he had 365 true sentences. And from that rich soil, a story began to organically grow. He had to let go of the attachment to the harvest to enjoy the daily planting. This applies to relationships, too. You can't plant a seed labeled, happy marriage. You can plant seeds called, a kind word this morning, 10 minutes of fully listening tonight, a touch on the shoulder. You plant them faithfully, without demanding an immediate bloom. You tend the soil of your own heart. The relationship grows from that consistent, unattached cultivation. In our final part, we will integrate all of this. We'll see how a life of open hands, releasing the past, welcoming the present, trusting the support, and planting in faith, naturally becomes a life of profound richness, connection, and effortless receiving. We'll discover that what is meant for you doesn't need to be chased, it finds you when you are finally still and open enough to receive it. For now, feel the seed of your deepest, gentlest intention in your heart. Not a shout, but a whisper. What is the one, small, faithful action you can take today? Plant it. Then, brush off your hands, look at the sky, and trust the seasons. Welcome back. Let's arrive here, together, in this final shared moment of stillness. Let the breath be natural, the body at rest. We have journeyed through the landscape of release, from the silent lake of awareness to the faithful planting of seeds. Now, we arrive at the simplest and most profound truth of all, the open hand receives. Not as a strategy, but as a law of nature. A fist, clenched tight around what it already holds, or clenched in defiance against what is, cannot receive anything new. It is a closed circuit. But an open hand, relaxed and palm up, is an invitation to the universe. It is in a state of graceful, vulnerable readiness. It says, I have done what I can. I am here. I am willing. Picture the very last moments of a deep, winter's night in a silent forest. The air is so cold it crystallizes in your lungs. The world is monochrome, shades of black, white, and deep blue. Everything is still, frozen, waiting. Then, on the eastern horizon, the faintest, most tentative light begins to bleed into the darkness. It is not yet sunrise. It is the pre-dawn glow, a promise whispered. At this exact moment, if you listen with your whole being, you might hear a single, clear bird call. It is not a song of day, full-throated and complex. It is a single, piercing note that seems to crack the shell of stillness. It is the forest's first, open-handed reception of the light. The bird does not command the sun to rise. It does not know if the dawn will be cloudy or clear. It simply, from its essential bird nest, offers its call into the thinning darkness. Its call is both an acknowledgement of the coming light and a participation in its arrival. It is an act of faith made audible. Your open heart is that bird call in the pre-dawn. It is not a demand for a specific future. It is a clear, authentic expression of your presence, offered into the mystery of what is unfolding. And in that offering, in that vulnerability, you become a conduit. You align yourself with the flow of grace. What is meant for you, the love, the peace, the answers, the next right step, has been flowing toward you all along, like the inevitable dawn. Your suffering was the long winter night of clinging, of building walls against the cold, of believing the darkness was permanent. Your opening is the first bird call of spring. It doesn't create the dawn, but it announces your readiness to meet it. This is not magical thinking. It is energetic and practical reality. A mind clenched in worry broadcasts a frequency of lack and fear, attracting more reasons to worry. A heart clenched in resentment radiates a field of separation, repelling connection. But a mind resting in awareness and a heart softened by release broadcasts a frequency of peace and openness. This state is a magnet for synchronicity, for solutions that come out of the blue, for people who resonate with that peace, for opportunities that feel like a natural fit. You are not controlling outcomes. You are aligning yourself with the flow of well-being that is the natural state of existence when we stop obstructing it with our resistance. Let me tell you about a final story, about a man named Kaito. Kaito was a master kite maker in a seaside Japanese town. His kites were famous, intricate dragons and carp that danced in the sky. But Kaito had grown old, and his eyesight was failing. He could no longer tie the delicate knots or paint the fine details. He fell into a bitter depression, attached to his identity as the master craftsman. His workshop gathered dust, and he sat alone, facing the sea, feeling his life was over. One afternoon, a group of noisy schoolchildren on a field trip crowded the beach, trying to fly cheap, plastic kites that repeatedly crashed into the sand. Their teacher, flustered, recognized Kaito and approached him shyly. "Master Kaito," she said, "the children are learning about wind and air. Would you simply tell them what a kite feels like when it flies?" Despondent, Kaito almost refused. But the plea in her eyes was an open hand. He sighed and walked to the children. He didn't bring any of his beautiful kites. He took one of their broken plastic kites. He fixed a torn seam with a piece of tape from the teacher's bag. Then, he did something he hadn't done in years. He ran down the beach, feeling the wind catch the cheap nylon. He let out the string, and the kite soared. He closed his failing eyes. "It is not about the kite," he said to the children, who had grown quiet. "It is about the wind. Your job is not to pull the kite into the sky. Your job is to feel for the moment the wind wants to lift it, and then to let out the string. You must feel the tension here," he said, placing a small boy's hands on the string spool. "Too tight, and you fight the wind, the kite stalls. Too loose, and there is no connection, the kite falls. You find the balance where you are neither holding on nor letting go, but participating in the dance." As he spoke, eyes still closed, feeling the tug of the wind through the string, something in him broke open. He wasn't the master kite maker anymore. He was simply a man feeling the wind. And in that simple participation, all his grief fell away. The children's laughter was music. The sun on his face was a blessing. He had let go of the form of his mastery and rediscovered its essence. The joyful connection between wind, string, and heart. The teacher, seeing his transformation, later asked if he would consider being a guest at their school, not to make kites, but to teach children how to feel the wind. Kaito, with a peace he hadn't felt in a decade, said yes. His final years were spent not in a lonely workshop, but on sunny fields, his old hands gently guiding small hands on string spools, his blind eyes turned toward the sky where laughter and kites flew together. What was meant for him wasn't a return to his old glory. It was a deeper, sweeter purpose, to become the wind's translator for a new generation. It came when he finally opened his hands. This is your invitation. Not to try harder, but to feel for the wind. Your breath is that string. Your awareness is the hand on the spool. The circumstances of your life are the kite, the form. You cannot control the wind, change, impermanence, the actions of others. You cannot force the kite to fly. But you can learn to feel the subtle tension. You can learn the balance between effort and surrender. You can learn to let out string with trust and reel it in with grace. So, how do you live this? You live by the daily opening. Each morning, before you reach for your phone, before the day's demands colonize your mind, sit for just 1 minute. Place your hands on your knees, palms up. Feel the openness of that posture. With each inhale, say silently, I release. Release the yesterday, the plans, the worries. With each exhale, say, I receive. Receive this moment, this breath, this new day with all its unknown potential. You are setting your inner posture to open-handed. And throughout your day, when you find yourself gripping a steering wheel, a phone, an opinion, a grudge, pause. Unclench your jaw. Unclench your fist. Literally, if you can, open your palm. This somatic act signals to your entire nervous system, I am safe enough to be open. I am willing to receive what is, and what is next. You have always been enough. You have always been worthy of peace. You have always been a part of this majestic, unfolding whole. The love, the peace, the path, they are not distant prizes. They are the very nature of reality when you cease to obstruct them with your clinging. They are the dawn that has been coming since time began. Your open heart is the first bird call that greets it. Thank you for walking this path of remembrance with me. May you carry this knowing gently. May you walk through your world with lighter hands and a quieter mind. May you trust the flow, feel the wind, and always, always remember, you are the sky, not the weather. You are the lake, not the ripples. You are the open hand, and in that openness, you are finally, completely, home. Welcome home.